Hi friends, welcome back to Give It a Go Garden. This is the channel where I take you along on my gardening adventures. Some successful, some not as much, but we're always just giving it a go. So today I'm going to do a pre-winter garden tour. Basically the garden is all buttoned up and ready for snow, the second snowfall. We had kind of an early one that I wasn't prepared for before, but it kind of worked out because it gave me a chance to really get fully prepared for winter. And this is also a really good time to kind of just reflect on the season. I'm going to highlight what worked, what didn't work, some of my plans for next season. Yes, I'm already thinking about that. It's kind of awesome to see all the work that I put in this year. It's still a relatively new garden. I've only really been working in it for 2 seasons. So excited to see what will happen in the future. But before that, I will walk around, kind of call those things out. And I'd love to hear from you if there was a favorite spot in the garden that you loved, or if there was a favorite plant. Let me know in the comments, because maybe I'll repeat them next year. Who knows? Let me walk you around and show you what it looks like. So starting in the back, I haven't really done a lot. Throughout the season, I was constantly kind of just keeping the weeds at bay. We did have a palm tree at one point. The palm didn't make it, but never again. So next season, I do want to focus on either getting hanging baskets or really trying to put some really flower elements into this area, because I think it would really benefit from it. And yeah, it's a nice spot, but definitely still some potential, and it hasn't really changed since we moved in, but less weeds, so that's good. I do want to call out that Nico will likely be walking in and out of every single shot because he needs to be a part of everything that I do in the backyard. So if you see him, that's why. Right, bud? What did you think of the garden? Yeah, I liked it too. So this side of the garden, I didn't really have to prep anything for winter. It was pretty much done. We did have like a second flush of roses, but not nearly as beautiful as that first flush. That first flush was glorious. I did go in and heavy prune them back, hoping that there would be a second one, and there really wasn't. So I think next season I won't prune them because I really do like the rose hips. They're kind of reddish, and I just think they look so pretty and Christmassy and wintry, but the ones that I prune don't have that, so I think I'm gonna leave it next season and just kind of have that one flush. That original flush of roses was so beautiful. I do think that they're trailing, which is great. And then if we look below, so that's our hydrangea. It has seen better days, but it did put on some really good growth this season, which I'm happy about. Curious that they haven't lost their leaves, so I don't know if that's gonna affect this upcoming season, but we'll see. And I had a heck of a time with my annuals in this area, which is wild because the season before I had my best luck of annuals here. So not really sure what changed, not really sure what happened, but I'll try again next year, probably with more annuals. I may consider putting some perennials, but I think overall I'm gonna stick with annuals because it's just fun. And eventually I'm hoping that the hydrangea here fully grows and takes up all the space, but that's a couple years away. This is my official notice to the lilacs: be better. Oh, I had a heck of a time with them this year. One, they grew like crazy, so I had to prune them back pretty aggressively, which was fine, but I was dealing with spider mites, I was dealing with like black leaves. They just looked super unhealthy, and although I really, really, really love the lilac blooms, I don't know, they might just be a bit of a pain in order to keep them. So I'm gonna keep them for one more spring. I'm excited to see the blooms again. They were, good. The lilacs are so big, so from that perspective I like them, but this whole section right here is kind of and in progress. So we'll see what happens in future seasons. But looks good for winter, kind of. So this section, I kept flip-flopping between loving it and hating it. And right now, I think it looks great. You know, heading into winter, I am just in awe that this rose has still held on to its petals. I mean, this one, so it looks still so pretty, which is fun. I did go in and mound them up for winter. So I just kind of like made a little hill so their roots are a little more full. I did struggle quite a bit with annuals here. Just can't win with the petunias this year. Ugh. The salvia that's right here did not do anything. Again, I don't know if that's because the lilacs were like shading it too much or what the deal is. But again, come spring, I'll try it again, but I might move it and then I might pull it if it's just being a pain in the butt. But I think the biggest thing is these hydrangeas. So they started off, you know, they were totally my favorite thing. I loved them so much. And then they kind of grew just like super wonky. You can see like up at the top, just kind of these spikes. And I think it's because this area gets too much sun. I think they prefer a bit more of a shaded, like partial shaded location. So come the spring, I am going to move them. And I'll show you where I will move them to, but this is going to be their last year kind of in this spot. And then this kind of opens up some space for some other plants, you know, some of the plants that maybe require a bit more sun. Right now, in terms of winter interest, it looks pretty good. I think with a nice dusting of snow, it'll be beautiful. Oh, look at that light. So over here, I do think the hydrangea that I just planted, one, I think it is took and is alive, which is great, and I think it brings some nice height to this area, which is needed. So my plan next season is to take those other hydrangeas and plant them right here. So there'll be kind of two things of hydrangeas. One, I think the height will be really nice, and I'll take all the plants that are here and put it where the hydrangea is. I also think that'll be really nice because milkweed tends to grow here, and this way it'll kind of blend in within the hydrangeas and it'll just be nice for the monarch butterflies. And then over here, this is where we had our dahlias, and they did not get enough light. This is too shady of a spot. So I'm gonna move some of the hostas that I have and kind of create like a hosta garden here next season. But this year the hosta in this corner performed so well for us. And you know, all things considering, the dahlias did okay too, but I definitely think we're gonna do something with a little bit more light for them next season. But yeah, in terms of winter interest, I think it's okay. I think next season with both of the hydrangeas, if they're alive, will be really nice. But I was pretty pleased with how this turned out. I was kind of all over the place this season, but I think it turned out pretty nice. This area was a really fun area to plant this season. You can see I moved some of the containers. Any of the containers that I'm keeping out for the winter are here, so they're in one location. We've just recently planted this one full of tulip bulbs, and I've left this one open in case I pick up any tulips like on clearance. I have some space, but I think I've talked about this before, how the vinca vines are my absolute favorite. Oh, look at this. Amazing, such color. And then the Dusty Miller, which I will definitely be doing again. I think overall I packed this too full this season. So next year I'm gonna be a little bit more mindful, but it's looking good. I think this is the best spot right now for the winter. Would love to know your thoughts. So hands down, the biggest change this season is the front. One, this tree was cut down, which totally changed everything. We went from full shade to full sun. And the second thing is we updated the box. We made it into a big planter, which wasn't there before, which was the best. But looking at this side, so I did go through and I was able to add a bit more dirt to cover the mesh. We'll see if it's, you know, if that stops the squirrels, or if anything grew. But we added these juniper plants, which, you know, with everything else pulled, it's really nice to have something kind of in the space. I will say though that the squirrels are still taunting me. I don't know where they got a tulip bulb, but they put it on our front door. I don't know, it was like ransom.
You son of a guns.
Anyways, this is looking better and it's kind of all ready for winter, so I'm very curious what's going to happen in the spring. I threw so much stuff in here, so we'll see if anything pops up. Now this was my favorite thing to plant this year. We made the box into an actual garden box a little late in the season. Don't mind this. Somebody backed into it. Their bumper looks worse than this does, so I guess we'll paint it. But I mean, I had so much fun planting this. I did pull the marigolds that were kind of here. They just look dead. I left a single calendula, and this was our aster. I don't know, maybe something will happen, but that's the only thing left. And I have to say, I really, really like that it's just annuals, because I'm already thinking next season what I'm going to plant. But it's pretty crazy how quickly everything grew, and just I learned so much this year that I'm already excited to try for next year. So this was the coolest thing we did this year, and I had so much fun planting. So much fun. So these planter boxes have seen some changes. They grew like crazy throughout the year, and right now there's some candy canes. But I did have a lot of fun with them. This is how I'm going to leave them for the winter. I'm going to leave this alyssum because apparently they're perennials. I don't really anticipate it to come back, but we'll see. Again, the Dusty Miller, such a good purchase. I'm so glad that those are in there. It looks so good. And these stock still going. So I mean, they look a little tired, they look a little sad. I should probably water them, but overall this was a really fun container, and I think I'm going to do a lot of the same plants that I did this season. So probably do Creeping Jenny again, or at least some sort of trailing vine, maybe Vinca vines. They're my favorite now, but really, really fun, and really happy with how it looks even now. You know, it's very, very wintry. So I've always pretty much had good luck with this planter box. Because it's full shade, I'm kind of I'm limited to what I can use, but I've had really good luck with impatiens. So much so that the impatiens really swallowed this planter box up. So I'm definitely gonna be mindful of how many I plant next season, and I won't add petunias because by the end of the season they were gone. But I did mound up our Hakone grass in hopes that, you know, it's a perennial and it'll come back next season, but time will tell. But right now, as we head into winter, it is a nice element. So really happy with how this looks, and I'll probably just repeat the exact same thing again next season, but just with the impatiens. I thought they looked so good, and they looked like just one big ball by the end of the season, or before I cut them back, which was awesome. Oh my god, it's the shovel again. I keep losing you and finding you. It's like a lucky shovel. So, in case anyone was worried, the cushions did dry and we were able to put them away, which is great. So that looks all put away for the winter. And then I ultimately did end up covering these planters. I know I said I was going to leave them open, but I think they just look better tucked away like that. And they still get some light, and I think the alyssum will just benefit from some protection. This planter box was so beautiful, like really fun. I stuffed it full of every odds and ends plants that you could think of, and it was awesome. I'm gonna do that again. Oh, hello. Yeah, I'm just so happy how this turned out, and I didn't actually show this off in a lot of videos, but that was kind of nice. I kind of enjoyed it. So let me know next season if you want to see more of this side, because it was gorgeous. So that's what the garden's looking like heading into winter. I think it looks pretty good, all things considering. I am mindful that the front, we will get a new tree, hopefully in the spring. And I'm really hoping it's gonna be like an evergreen. I ideally would love if we could get a blue spruce. But I don't want to plant any other evergreens in the garden until I know what that huge plant in the front is going to look like, because I want it to all match. So once that's figured out, I'm going to definitely add more evergreen throughout the back, because I think it could really benefit from it, especially right now. You know, there's not a lot of interest. It's kind of just sticks, which is okay. But that's kind of like my priority for the spring. But other than that, you know, I had a really, really fun season. I learned so much, definitely with the front planter box being so open and making all the cut flowers. I have so many ideas for next year what I'm gonna do, and I just like can't wait. When I think back to May when we started planting and just kind of all of the changes and things we couldn't have predicted, like how was I to know that I was gonna go and pick up random plants from a random lady, or how was I to know that I was gonna win a dahlia and then I was gonna grow dahlias again. So that's what just makes gardening so fun, is just your ability to pivot. So thank you if you've been following along. I've really enjoyed this season. There's still going to be many more episodes leading up to the spring. The number one question I get asked when I tell people I have a gardening YouTube channel is, what are you going to do in the winter? I have some ideas, so have no fear, there will still be content. But it's just been a really fun gardening season, and it's been really nice to kind of document my process, and I've just really enjoyed it. So thank you if you've been watching, and if you've been following and liking and subscribing. It really does mean a lot. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It really does help. But in any event, I really hope that this just encourages you to get out there and give it a go. You just never know what will happen, right? All right, see you soon. Bye.